Hi there, hope you're well. In the workshop this week we're going to be taking a look at the AC400 two-stage air filter with remote, 3 speeds and a timer delay, and yes, I am reading that off the box. So yes, this wasn't actually the video that I had planned for today. It's just that I bought this last week as part of the general workshop makeover, and when it arrived I sort of hadn't fully appreciated how big it was, and I realised that I just didn't have space for it here in the workshop. We're still mid-makeover. I was just starting to make the storage boxes for these end cabinets, and I realised that I also got my Capex back last week, and that's still in its box in the room next door. I just didn't have anywhere to put this, so I just basically need to get this on the ceiling, and I thought I'd do a quick video about it as I was doing it. This is the Record Power AC400. There are 4 of these that are very, very similar in size and specifications. There's this one, there's one from Rutland's, there's one from Jet, and there's an Axminster one, all kind of similar size and shape and cost. Very, just from looking at the specs, very subtle differences between them. And I thought I'd just give you a quick once-over as to why I bought this particular one. The Record Power, obviously British made, comes with a 5-year warranty, which is definitely worth having. The Rutland's is a little bit more expensive and claims to be a little bit quieter. The other 2 seem to be very similar. To be honest, I went for this Record Power one simply because it was available, it was the right sort of money. They're all very similar sort of price. I paid £170 for this, including VAT, and I purchased this from Yandles. No affiliation or association with them at all. It happened to be in stock and they could deliver it, simple as that. So I made the purchase, got a dispatch notification on the Friday to say it was coming today, and actually arrived on Saturday. So let's get this out of the box and have a quick look at what you get for your money. So longer suffering viewers and subscribers will know that I do have an air scrubber, an air filter unit already. It's one I'm not particularly enamoured with. It's one I've spoken about in previous videos, the fan in a can. In fact, I was so unhappy with that whole thing that I refused to link to it or to the company that I bought it from. The reason I went for that one then rather than one of this type is purely down to size. This is not a small thing, a small unit, and I genuinely didn't think I'd have space to fit it in. It comes in at 430mm, 17 inches wide, almost exactly 10 inches, 260mm high, and 510mm long, so 20 inches or thereabouts. Weighs about 15 kilos, 14 kilos as the bare unit, and it comes with a full set of chains and gubbins to connect it to the ceiling. You replace the 4 bolts in the top of the unit. And then you have chains with a split ring on them so you can adjust the height. The bolt positioning is a little bit strange. It's 350mm side to side, but 300mm front to back on them, so you do need to make yourself a little template in order to get those screws into the right position. But otherwise it's a fairly straightforward little unit with a very clear control panel on the front of it and a full remote control which does timer facilities as well. In other words, all the things that the previous one lacked. So that's the unit up on some little foam pads. I'll shush down for a minute, and then we'll get it running at low speed, then medium, and then high. These dB readings are exactly in line with the manufacturer's specifications, so let's get this unit fitted. Actually, before we go, one quick thing. I mentioned before it's important that the sound meter, when I was doing the decibel, the volume, was a metre away. I also know that the camera's 1.8 metres, 6 feet away, and I know that because that's how much cable we get with this unit. Now, yeah, I don't want to be the angry old man ranting at clouds or short mains cables, and let me know in the comments if this genuinely doesn't bother you in the slightest, and I promise I'll never mention it again. But 1.8 metres, 6 feet of mains cable in a unit that's meant to attach to your ceiling seems on the underwhelming side to me. I genuinely don't know what Record Power are thinking. I would love them to tell me. Open invitation, anybody from Record Power, please get in touch with me and explain this to me. How my experience as a customer and as a consumer is enhanced by getting less than 2 metres of mains cable on a £170 thing that's meant to attach to my ceiling. It's 6 feet from my ceiling to the bench here, so you know, there's no way that's going to reach without some kind of extension or changing the cable. I mean, they come with plugs moulded on these days because we're not supposed to, us mere punters aren't supposed to mess with something as simple as a plug, and yet, you know, we've either got to plug it into an extension or rewire the damn thing. I don't know. You tell me if it's just me, but that just seems unbelievably cheap to me, unless of course there's some very sensible reason, in which case Record Power, please share it with me. Anyway, let's get this nailed onto the ceiling and get those final tests done. With the old fan down, I'm drilling through the template to mark the positions, then drilling them through with the SDS. I've been here before, I'm not even going to try a regular hammer drill on this ceiling. And then I can plug the holes and fit the hooks. An old trick for fitting hooks is to chuck an eye bolt into the drill and then use this on the hooks. With the chains on the hooks, I can offer up the unit and hang it in place. Okay, so that is that. Carefully placed so that the plug does actually reach an extension down here. Obviously need to sort that out. Let's see how we do. Let's plug it in and see how we do. I thought that was loud. Had the other one on as well. So that's at the lowest power, lowest setting. Before I started drilling, and you're going to have to take my word for it on this, but before we started drilling, on my little air quality monitor here, we had a reading of PM 2.5 of 2, which is very low. Let's leave this running for a little bit and see what that comes down to. Give it 10 minutes, see where that comes down. That's just on the low setting. Yeah. So there you go, that's almost exactly 10 minutes to go from a PM 2.5 value of 10 double figures all the way down to a PM 2.5 of 2, 0, 1, nice and steady and low down there. That's 10 minutes on the low setting on the fan. Obviously you could take less time on the higher settings. Let me just switch that off. Certainly if you use the timer function at the end of the working day to have that on for an hour or two, you'll need to do a little bit of experimentation, as I will of course, to figure out what's the best sort of option. An hour on high or 2 hours on medium or whatever works for you and your workshop. I've got to figure that out for myself as well. But I think that at the end of the working day is going to be absolutely fine. It is noisier, it is louder than I would like, even on the low setting for whatever reason. Perhaps it's the proximity to the wall. It's coming in at around about, you know, the high 60s dB on the low setting, which is much louder than I would be able to accept for having that on whilst I'm shooting video, for example. But that's a unique consideration to YouTubers and other content creators, and I wouldn't expect many other people to be concerned about that, because it's almost certainly one of the quietest pieces of machinery in the workshop. But I think I'll call that one done for this week. There's not a whole lot more to say about it really. I will of course feed back on this as I get to use it more in future. But thanks ever so much for taking a look. Thanks as always to my amazing Patreon supporters and YouTube members whose continued support really does help me to keep the lights on here. But that's it for this one. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next one. All right, take care.